My name is Will Taylor, and I was one of the original founders of this organization, which, by the way, is called the Carquinez Toy Train Operating Museum, better known around here as CTTOM. We basically started about 8 years ago. About 3 or 4 of us got together, and we wanted to build an organization which would cater to young and old alike. We wanted to find a space where we could really set out a layout which would be representative of old and new Lionel stuff, American Flyer, and that is the reason why we refer to ourselves as an operating museum. We are a 501c3, we're very proud of that. If you could see what this place looked like 5 years ago, you would be shocked. The walls were falling down, the ceiling was coming in, and so it took us a substantial amount of time just to get things in a place where we could even think of putting in tables and layouts. We have been very proud of what we've done here in the last 4 or 5 years. There are a lot of areas which have not been completely landscaped, but we are steadily moving forward, and our members come from as far north as Santa Rosa and as far south as almost San Jose and up towards Sacramento. So we do have membership throughout the total area of the Bay Area. As far as I know, we're the only operation like this in the San Francisco Bay Area, and our goal is to make it museum quality and have it operational so we can have just a lot of fun.
Originally the layout was designed, taken from a design down in San Diego, the Third Rail group in San Diego, but it modified immensely as our membership grew, and we wanted to make it more interesting. As a museum, we have what we call tinplate, the early pre-war, before the Second World War, structures that were so popular, and some of them are reproductions, but in our tinplate section you can see the Lionel power station. Then we have a coal loader, it's American Flyer, and then we also have a Lionel factory. Those are the 3 premier pieces, and we have some operating pieces as well. This is the American Flyer Seaboard Coaler, and it's going to grab some coal, brings it up, and then it goes to a horizontal function, and from the chute into the hopper. This is the Lionel log loader. Now we're going to look at a different log loader. This is the American Flyer, and you'll see it operates quite differently. It has hooks. I think it's fascinating to see the design that comes from the engineering on these different pieces of automated equipment. And there you see it picked up a log and it drops it in to the log car. Now you see the 844, an enormous steam engine coming through the Hellgate Bridge. The Hellgate Bridge is another classic tinplate piece that we happen to have, and this one is a reproduction that Lionel issued later on. The steam engine has a whistle, and the whistle is made to replicate the actual sounds of the whistles as they occurred back in the age of the 844 when it was active on a regular basis. It even has a quilling effect sometimes. This is a little better view of the Hellgate Bridge, a bridge which actually exists in New York City. And going through the bridge at this time is the latest Big Boy by Lionel. And you might notice the coal pile is depressing where the coal car is, or the tender. And one of their features is that the coal goes down as the train runs. They have so many technical features, it's hard to believe. They have vocal sounds as well as the quilling whistles, and it's all remotely controlled. So Roy Yardley is a relative, an in-law to one of our members, and he volunteered to build the large bridge against the wall in the background. And the structure is enormous, and it has two of the main lines going through. He did a beautiful job, and such a nice job. You might notice a little plaque on the side, and that's dedicated to Roy. And then there's a ramp bridge because we actually connect the lower track to the upper track. The third bridge you see in the foreground is a reverse arch bridge, and that was done with stock aluminum. I fabricated that, and it takes the rest of the track across to the other side. You're in a 40 by 40 foot room. The track is Gargraves. The switches are made by Ross. It's an impressive layout. We can run as many as 5 or 6 trains at one time, and with long consists. Just over the tops of these passenger cars, you'll notice the Pfeiffer seed house. My grandfather had a hybrid seed corn in Illinois, and he was the one to first develop hybrid corn seed and had a seed store. It was a little town called Arcola in Illinois, central Illinois. So he was quite successful, and we thought we would honor his efforts with this packing house. We have another train on the inside track. It's the American Flyer Polar Express, a new release. And the Polar Express is very popular. It's made by Lionel and MTH. It's featured after the Polar Express movie with Tom Hanks. We have open houses during October, and we also have one in Christmas time, and that's a featured train that runs at that time. On the same track, right behind the Polar Express, is another American Flyer made by Lionel. It has Vocal with it, and it's the Erie engine, and you can see it has a fairly long freight consist for such a small engine. And rather attractive consist of cars. It has reefer cars, box cars, coal cars, and a caboose, which is lit. Now we're on a different section, and this is near completion on the mountain area. Jeff Williams, John O'Hara, quite a few of our members have been very involved. Ann Livingstone oversees the scenery, and you can see the mountain area has a nice perspective to it. We're not what you call high rail totally because we have tin plate mixed in, although we try to scale everything. And the features of the mountain work, we've had a lot of nice assistance from the Vargas brothers, who are commercially involved with going to different layouts and as a business, and they volunteered their time. That's Dan and Armando Vargas. They were quite helpful to us. And I think the results are showing if you look at the detail of our mountains. This side of the track or the layout is more of a high rail approach as it's more modern, and so we try to replicate reality a little more, even though it is a work in progress. As you can see, we don't have our sidewalks, we don't have a lot of our foliage in on some of the areas. We don't have our ballast down. The ballast goes last because you want to be sure your track is correct and everything runs well before you ballast. As the 844 comes around, you'll see we have built a dual trestle. We're very proud of this. It was quite an undertaking. I did not actually measure the diameter of it, but it's probably about 8 feet to 10 feet, and it's all scratch built. It's made from walnut, and no staining has been done to the walnut. Our Will did most of the walnut. He did all the cuttings, and several of our members patiently used templates and put the trestle together, and everything clears. Even the high stacks go through, as well as the curvature for the big boys. I think it's more interesting sometimes to see things a work in progress rather than all completed, because many times you can see or appreciate better what people are trying to accomplish, the challenges they face. Once it's all done, it's all covered up. There's the quill. And that's taken from the actual big boy sound. They recorded it and replicated it. Now we're taking a good look at a central feature of our layout, and that's the yard. Every train layout should have a nice yard. And we're very proud of the one we have developed, even though it's under development still. We have a Ross turntable large enough to take the largest engines that are made today. We have 11 sidings, 3 go into an Atlas kit-built roundhouse. Behind it on the right, you'll see a stack. It's a custom stack and powerhouse, and that was Harry Heike that built that, as well as the seed building that we showed you, the Pfeiffer seed building. Those are all custom built, and they even labeled CTOM for our organization on the stack, on the industrial stack. There's a couple coaling towers there for coaling the trains. The yellow one is a Lionel product. The other one is Third Rail. The owner of the Third Rail happens to be a member, Scott Mann, of our organization. So now we have show an engine on the Ross turntable, and as it would rotate to the various spurs on the side, you can see it rotating around, and it can stop to accommodate any of the track alignment. Visualization is a large part of building a large layout, and it takes special people that can visualize ahead. You're looking at something that's just a piece of plywood right now. It has a wonderful Grand Central terminal on it. That's a very highly desired item. This is the scale version that came out of Lionel, and it was donated to us by the late Jim McCarthy, along with a large collection. And I'd like to acknowledge Jim's donation, his wife Kathy, for their generosity. And with Jim's inspiration, even though he's not with us anymore, we as a group are going to have a second layout, and through the help of a wonderful philanthropist, Buck Camphausen, and he's in the process of having another big layout room developed for us in a couple years. But what's going to happen now, against the wall, we'll have frontal buildings. You'll have street, you'll have a subway entrance, you'll have tall buildings. The frontal buildings will also be quite tall. Underneath, you have a Greyhound station. It'll be a large commercial area underneath. So it all has to fit in a small space and make it look like a big city. Great challenge. You use a lot of forced perspective, but I think it's a lot of fun when you look at something at this stage. Now we're on the other side of the dual wooden trestle, but this is a corner that David Krunzinger is working on at his home, and he'll come in with a completed refinery area. He had a prototype that he showed us, and pictures he showed us, and so now he's measured it out, and it'll all come into place. Now we're looking at the town called Diablo. Now we named this Diablo after one of our members, Jerry Slavonia, who has been very generous in helping us acquire some of the items we have, particularly the station. TW Trainworks made the Albuquerque station, but we have a custom signs made along with the platform, which was made by Crescent Manufacturers. Platform's blocked out a little bit by the UP cars right now, but you'll see it as they pass on. And I think a really fun feature that has been added are the Super Street cars. Ed patiently put this together, and it's been a nice addition, and gives more activity other than just trains running. We also have cars that run. You can also appreciate some of the detail work that's been done on this side, on the lower section with the wall that has been ivied and textured. So there will be some high rail aspects certainly of our layout when it's all completed. The switch tower, which is the tall structure at the far end, was another Harry Heike custom manufacturer, and Harry modeled that after the SP station that was on 4th Street down in San Francisco. And then we also have the American Flyer. Next to it is the American Flyer Starlight Diner. That's a very famous diner back in York, Pennsylvania, where one of our largest train groups meet. All our houses will light up. They are not quite wired yet. Jim Livingstone has overseen much of the wiring activity through the entire process here. And hats off to Jim. It's just a slow, tedious process. Also, Robert Lopez has been helping quite a bit with this, and so I'm going to ask Robert to tell you a little bit about how we power our track and our transformers that we have here.
Hi, my name is Robert Lopez. I'm the electrical engineer of the layout. We're currently standing on what is now known as Williams Tower. One of our members, who was a very dear friend of ours, is fallen very ill, so this was his pride and joy, and we made it a memory for him. Well, our layout is ran by 6 transformers, 3 of which are up here. They are the new Lionel 650Ls. They are capable of putting out 650 watts on 4 outputs of track. We have 3 of them up here that power the main 3 loops. Our system is set up where we can either run in command mode using Lionel's older TMCC system and their newer version, Lionel Legacy system, and we can also run Mike's Train House command control as well. And with a simple flick of a switch, we can also turn off all the command signals and run what we call in conventional mode, which is just throttling the handles of the transformer up and down to vary the voltage for the older style locomotives. All of our electronic equipment is kept up here. We also have stationed all around the layout emergency stops to kill all the power to this room with a simple flick of a switch, and just in case something does go haywire, we have the ability to turn it off without having too much damage done to the layout.
We are now in what we refer to as the conference room or the boardroom or the kitchen. When we have open houses, this is cleaned out and we serve food to our guests, and it's a place to kind of kick back. And so what we have in here is a standard gauge loop of Lionel, American Flyer, and Ives. What you are seeing right now is a McCoy set and another Lionel piece. These are pretty rare pieces, especially the McCoy. I say rare because he was a very small manufacturer. We were very fortunate about a year ago to inherit a very large collection. So we have probably one of the biggest McCoy collections on the West Coast, if not actually in the US. Again, these are tinplate. That locomotive weighs about 35 pounds, and each one of the coaches, the top comes off and you can look inside. They're very beautifully done. The Hellgate Bridge that you see is a Lionel Hellgate, but unfortunately they did not make it or design it for these larger Lionel and MTH locomotives that they're now coming out with. So we cut the inside out, raised it so we could get these larger standard gauge locomotives through it. Again, I want to thank you for watching the tour of the Carquinez Toy Train Operating Museum. And I personally would like to invite all of you or anyone to come to Crockett. It's an interesting little town. And all you have to do is go online, look up CTTOM.org, and you can find our website and contact information at that point. Again, thank you, and hope you've enjoyed the Carquinez Toy Train Operating Museum.